Once upon a time, there was a young couple living alone in their small house. They didn't have a child, but they wished for a little girl. They could see a very beautiful garden from the window of their house. There were wonderful flowers, fruit, and vegetables in this garden. The garden was surrounded with a high wall, and nobody could dare enter it because the owner of the garden was a much feared witch. Then, one day their wish came true, and the woman was pregnant. While waiting for their baby, the woman looked at the garden across their house and saw the delicious lettuces growing there. They looked so fresh and green, she had to taste them. She told her husband about the lettuces, and she said her greatest desire was eating some of those lettuces. But her husband reminded her that the owner of that garden was a fearful witch and said he can't do it. Every day, her husband brought many different foods to her. But the woman always rejected those foods because she wanted nothing but the lettuces. The woman was so sad, she couldn't think anything other than the lettuces anymore. The man, concerned for her wife's condition, finally promised the woman that he would bring her some of the lettuces no matter what. That night, the man secretly went to the garden to fulfill his promise. They quietly climbed the wall, entered the garden, and collected some lettuces. As soon as he returned home, he gave the lettuces to his wife. His wife was delighted with this and quickly ate all of the lettuces her husband had brought. However, this was not enough for her. She asked her husband to bring some more lettuces, or she would stop eating and drinking again. So, her husband, desperate, decided to enter the witch's garden again that night. When night fell, he approached the garden and climbed the wall and jumped into the garden. As he was collecting the lettuces, suddenly the witch appeared before him. The man hugged the ground in fear. The witch was furious. She turned to the man and said, "How dare you enter my garden and steal my beautiful lettuces?" In fear, the man started explaining his reason and told the witch that his wife was pregnant and they saw the lettuces through the window and his wife couldn't eat anything other than these lettuces. "And I was so worried for my wife, I had no choice but to steal your lettuces," he said. Upon this, the witch was softened a little and she said, "You could have come and asked me. It was wrong to steal. You can take as many lettuces as you want, but this action must be punished." The witch thought and said that as punishment, she would take their child when she was born. Although the man did not want this, he had to accept because he was very afraid. Time passed, and finally the woman gave birth to a beautiful golden-haired girl. They named this beautiful girl Rapunzel. The couple was very happy, but their happiness did not last long. The witch came to the couple's house and reminded them of their agreement and took the child and left. The witch brought the child to a tower with no entrance and started to raise her here, showing her to nobody. The child came to know the witch as her mother. Days passed, time flowed, the child grew up, and while growing she never cut her golden hair. The witch would come to the tower every night to take care of Rapunzel and comb her golden hair. But Rapunzel was not happy at all. She was very bored to be alone in the tower all day. Finally, she told the witch about this, but the witch was angry with her and told her that she was keeping her there to protect her from the evils of the world. Rapunzel had no other choice but to accept her fate, and she understood she couldn't say no to the witch, who she thought was her mother. Every day she would look out the tower's window and sing, and she started passing each day like this. One day, a prince passing near the tower heard the songs Rapunzel was singing. Rapunzel's voice was so beautiful that the prince was touched by it and immediately went to the source of the voice and saw Rapunzel at the tower's window. He wanted to enter the tower and meet her at once, but although he circled the tower a couple of times, there was no entrance to be found. Sadly, he had to leave. But he wasn't able to forget Rapunzel's voice or looks. Every day, he started going near the tower to listen to Rapunzel. One day, while he was listening to Rapunzel from afar, he saw the witch approaching the tower. The witch called from Rapunzel from the bottom of the tower, "Oh, Rapunzel, let your golden hair down, I'm here." Rapunzel started to let her beautiful hair down from the window. Her hair, which she never cut, was so long and so beautiful, it was as long as the tower itself. And the witch could climb up the tower holding onto her hair. The prince, having seen this, went to the tower the next day. He wanted to take his chance and meet Rapunzel. So he called for Rapunzel, just as the witch had done. "Oh, Rapunzel, let your golden hair down, I'm here." And his wish was granted. Rapunzel, thinking her mother had arrived, let her hair down. And the prince climbed up the tower by holding her hair and entered through the window. Rapunzel was very scared because this was the first time she saw a man. But the prince calmed her down and told her not to worry, that he wouldn't hurt her, and he was very touched by her voice and looks and just wanted to meet her. The prince was from that world which Rapunzel always wanted to see, but didn't know anything about. They chatted with the prince, and the prince told Rapunzel about cities, horses, and kingdoms. He said he wanted to take Rapunzel with him, but there was no exit from the tower, so they thought of a solution. The prince would bring a piece of cloth every day, and they would tie the clothes together to make a rope, and would climb down the tower using this rope. This was their plan. So, the prince started bringing a piece of cloth every day he visited Rapunzel. As the days passed like this, one day the witch came early and saw the prince climbing down Rapunzel's hair. She was furious. After the prince left, she called for Rapunzel and climbed up her hair to the tower. Rapunzel was terrified when she saw that the witch, who she thought was her mother, was this angry. As a punishment, she cut Rapunzel's beautiful golden hair and sent it to the trash. But the witch couldn't calm down. She wanted to punish the prince too. The next day, she waited for the prince to come to the tower. Then she heard the prince calling from the bottom of the tower. She let the hair she cut from Rapunzel down and allowed the prince to climb up. Just as the prince was about to enter through the window, she appeared before him. She told him that Rapunzel was no longer here, that he had lost her, and then she let the hair she was holding go, and the prince fell down. He landed on the bushes at the base of the tower and was saved, but the thorns on the bushes pierced his eyes. Unfortunately, the prince was blinded because of this. He started to walk in the forest with sadness and grief, still looking for Rapunzel. He had no other choice. He was eating the fruit he found in the forest, and he would walk every day yelling Rapunzel's name. Days passed, and he walked so much that he finally reached the desert where Rapunzel was. As he was hopelessly walking in the desert, he heard a voice. This was a song, and the prince immediately recognized the voice. It was Rapunzel. The prince called for Rapunzel and started running towards her voice, and Rapunzel also noticed the prince. They ran towards each other and embraced. When Rapunzel saw the prince's wounds and blinded eyes, she was very sad and started to cry. Her tears fell onto the prince's eyes, and at that moment, the magic of their love healed the prince's eyes. The prince once again opened his eyes to the world, seeing Rapunzel. Both of them were very happy for this miracle. The prince took Rapunzel with him to his kingdom and introduced her to the king and queen. They were very happy for the return of their lost son, and they admired Rapunzel very much. So they were together forever, and they were happy ever after.